WCW
We just started here.
Monday Nitro 176, January 25th, 1999. Show opened with clips from Thunder.
Let's start by saying, by the way, this fucking show was so bad for 45 minutes. It was so horrible for the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
As soon as Scott Hall and Bam Bam Bigelow came out and actually wrestled in a match for 10 straight minutes, the show totally turned around.
Yes.
Lo and behold, if you give people wrestling on a wrestling show, it's a better show. But man, the first 45 minutes where they did nothing but 9 million segments and one shitty match.
I will say it was so bad it made me laugh. So that's a good kind of bad, but it was terrible.
Okay.
For example, this clip from Thunder. Vincent, best known as Virgil in WWF, Vincent ever since he's been in WCW, he is amongst the NWO B team. Apparently he has taken over a leadership role with the B team.
Yeah, where the hell did this come from?
I don't know.
That was how the show started. Clips from Thunder of Vincent running the show.
Yes, and he says, everyone, I no longer want to be known as Vincent. And I'm eagerly awaiting what his new name is going to be. And he says, I want to be known as Vince.
Yes.
And there's a pause. And he says, Vince is a good name. Can't argue with that.
And Vinny was nodding feverishly.
Yes. So everyone left. He tried and failed to drink a glass full of raw eggs that had been sitting in this locker for who knows how long.
Yeah, this was a total takeoff of Vince's training video.
Sure.
I see.
On Raw, yeah.
That's it. And he looks up at the camera, or he looks into the corner and says, hey, there's a camera, we're being filmed. And he starts tapping at it and says, we're being filmed. It's like this. He does this over and over again.
Yeah.
So
Vinny is not acting right here. He's just recapping what happened.
Yeah.
Your acting is 1,000 times better than Vince.
Yeah.
This was the fucking worst acting I've ever seen. And you know what? I've said that on Raw lately. Like, there's been some fucking bad acting on Raw. But the difference is, this is horribly acted improv. And Raw is horribly acted scripted. And I'm not sure which is worse.
Well, this is worse because he kept looking into the camera. Hey, we're being filmed.
Craig, you're doing too well.
We're being filmed.
less energy.
Less energy. And
Sleep your eyelids.
We're being filmed.
It was
There you
so
go.
bad.
Better. So
We're being filmed.
Don't touch anything.
And it went on.
now we
and
can
on
scare Brian
and
whenever we
on.
want.
Dude.
So they cut to the limousine where the Wolfpack has nothing better to do than to watch the spy cam of the B-teamers. And they are disgusted at what a geek Vince is.
People will say the same thing when they see us.
Well, yeah. So we have clips of Kurt Hennig and Stevie Ray and the rest of the B-teamers saying they can't trust Hogan or Nash. They all made fun of Stevie Ray's $500 shirt. He vowed to get them, apparently referring to Hogan and Nash. Ric Flair was at the merchandise table watching Eric Bischoff work.
Eric's got a black wig on under his hat because he's embarrassed that he got his head shaved. Just the worst wig you've ever seen.
And as we noted, his haircut is a vast improvement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Flair orders Bischoff to go sell merchandise in the arena. Clips of Scott Steiner trying to get laid last week. And then DDP on Thunder warning Scott to stay away from his wife because sometimes in this business, it gets real fast.
You know, we talked about Steiner and Kimberly a lot last week, but we actually I was thinking about this the other day. So, the way we described it, Steiner was trying to talk sense into the security guard, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and he was trying to say, I've got a great body. Mm-hmm. She needs to fuck me.
Those were his two arguments.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Craig,
Yes.
you said he's trying to talk to the guy man to man.
Absolutely.
I'm a guy, I've got needs.
Absolutely.
Okay, the more I thought about it, the more you're wrong.
Okay.
What he was saying was, she has needs. Mm-hmm. I am here to do her a favor. That was the whole point of this. Like, I'm sure that he was interested as well. But his argument was,
You think?
I have a great body. She needs me.
Yeah.
I'm here to help. Why are you kicking me out? It's even more preposterous than we explained last week. And yes, I thought about this a lot.
It's a little disturbing.
Yeah.
Don't you have any hobbies?
Not the act, but you know.
Stevie Ray told the B-teamers, "You wait in the limo. I'll go take care of Hogan." And there wasn't... whatever.
We'll get to it.
Al Green versus Disco Inferno.
Al Green against the Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
They got one match in the first hour.
This is it.
This is what they came up with.
It exceeded my very low expectations.
Yeah, it was fine. Disco's a good baby face. Al Green was
A good power guy.
competitive.
Yeah.
It was a fine wrestling match. Good finish. Chart buster. Everybody went crazy for Disco. How could you see this as a loss?
It was actually even better because, as noted, Al was a big, strong guy. He's pressing Disco over his head, and he beat Disco for a few minutes. But then at the end, Disco realizes he's slow. And so he ducks like 3 clotheslines in a row and then hits the chart buster. So he found an advantage and exploited it. So good for Disco.
It's funny when you add a wolf howling to Disco's music, he gets more popular.
I mean, he worked as a great baby face. He should get cheered.
Well, when they added
And these
the
are
wolf,
real wrestling fans.
when they added the wolf howl to his Disco Inferno music, people
Sure.
popped.
So at this point, Tony Schiavone is frantically trying to determine what is the next segment. And he introduces like 3 different things.
Oh my gosh!
And finally go back to, I think, number 2. They're at the airport. The B-teamers. And yes, this is our 4th segment with the B-teamers in the first like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
They are
And
pissed
my God, what a fucking payoff, by the way.
They're pissed off. They get Ford Tauruses and not limousines.
Yeah.
So they're standing there arguing, this is bullshit. They get a limo. Why don't we get a limo? And finally, Scott Norton spots an opening and just shouts, "I got shotgun!" And he goes running off.
And then they fight for shotgun.
They fight for shotgun.
Yes.
So
So Stevie is telling everybody, I am going to go give Hulk Hogan a piece of my mind.
yes.
So the NWO arrives in their Learjet. They're all acting cool in the jet.
They had a camera in the Learjet to shoot 5 seconds of video.
Yes. Nash gets out. Hall slaps his ass. Go get him, Tiger. So they get out. Stevie walks up to them and immediately throws Kurt Hennig under the bus.
Stooge.
Howled with laughter. That was somewhat of a payoff. So the NWO goes, and the B team is all hanging out, okay? All they know is Stevie was going to go give Hulk a piece of his mind.
Yes.
Okay. So the B team sees the NWO coming.
The cool kids.
Hennig knows shit's about to go down. And so he responds. He's in the back seat. He sees the NWO coming. He suddenly grabs Norton around the neck, and he goes, "I got him!"
Was it Norton or Vincent?
I think it was Norton.
Whoever's in the front seat.
All that matters is he thought he was smart.
Yeah.
He was wrong.
No.
He's the only one whose ass they beat. What about Vincent?
There were 2 guys. They'll talk about that in a minute. There were 2 guys, as we later learned, who were not wearing the NWO shirts anymore. Stevie Ray bought a $500 shirt.
Yes.
Which is nicer than t-shirts. He's not wearing that. Hennig just outright says he doesn't trust anyone. Now, he didn't say that to their face, but they knew it. So they beat Hennig up for not wearing an NWO t-shirt.
Yeah, he's out.
And first, the B-teamers protest, but Hogan convinces them it's the right thing to do by saying, quote, "It's just business." So they say, okay, and they all beat up their buddy, too. Everyone beats up Hennig, leaves him lying on the tarmac.
And as they're walking away, Scott Hall turns and mutters, "Make sure Sting gets his Taurus back."
I didn't catch that. That's awesome.
So good. Now, listen. This show started with Vincent acting like he was running the show
Yeah.
and discovering a hidden camera. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why didn't they beat his ass? Wasn't that how the entire show started?
They actually said this guy's got a little bit of ingenuity.
Is that what they said?
He's got something because he was
'Cause-
attention to detail.
We will get into what else happened on Thunder, but there are some things he did that outright defied their orders.
Yeah.
But they hugged him and they said he was cool. Did we mention, by the way, that when Hulk Hogan is approaching the B-teamers, he shouts, "Yo, Holmes, what's up?" I think that's an important detail to include.
Holmes.
Yo, Holmes.
Yo, Holmes.
So they all leave. The limousine pulls away, and the guys in the B-teamers. Norton actually says to Stevie, "Welcome back to the B-team." And they're bitching about their Tauruses, and they drive away. All right, now we're in the building.
More.
More with the NWO.
They're in their locker room.
The Wolf Pack and their fanny packs are walking through the building. They're saying things to imaginary women down the hallways. No autographs, ladies. They go into their locker room. They tell Stevie to put on the black and white t-shirt instead of his $500 shirt. There's 14 guys in here jibber-jabbering at once. And the last thing you hear is Hulk Hogan say, Kurt Hennig sucks!
So Stevie is there in his $500 shirt. They're like, you got to wear an NWO shirt. Take that thing off. They give him an NWO shirt. He clearly does not want to take off his $500 shirt. But he knows if he doesn't, he's going to get his ass handed to him. So he starts to go into the bathroom to change his shirt. Now, granted, Liz was in there.
Sure.
But really? And as he's leaving, they bury him for his slacks as well.
At this point, Bam Bam Bigelow brings a ladder down to the ring. And he cuts a promo. And it's bad.
Oh, my God.
He's stumbling over everything. He's mumbling a lot, tripping over his own words. He says he came to WCW to take out Goldberg, and he's still going to do that, but first he must take out the obstacle that is Scott Hall. Because Scott Hall zapped him with the taser a couple times. So he challenges Hall to a ladder match with a stun gun hanging above the string.
Did we just see that?
Yes, actually. This is the
Okay.
main event of Sold Out
Yes.
with Bam Bam Bigelow replacing Goldberg.
So they cut to the NWO locker room, and he's doing a promo, and on the split screen, there's the NWO. Everybody's talking at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not like in the middle of a match they go to a talking segment. They go to a talking segment in the middle of a talking segment. So Bigelow's bumbling his way through this promo. You can't understand a word he's saying. NWO is bumbling their way through a promo. You can't hear anything they're saying. In the middle of it, you can make out Scott Hall. They tell Scott Hall he's calling you out. And he wants you in a ladder match. Hall says, and I quote, "Can you imagine the hole I'm going to make?" Because he's fat.
Yeah.
He's going to knock him off the ladder, giant hole in the middle of the ring. And that's it.
That was the end.
That's it. I guess that was him accepting the challenge. I looked at all my notes because I was expecting to tell you what else happened, and then I realized that's fucking all that happened.
That's all that happened.
He made fun of him for being fat.
They made fun of him for being fat. They made fun of him for cutting a horrible promo, and the thing ended.
Oh, that's right, the horrible promo.
Yeah. We had a way too long bit where Eric Bischoff is fucking up customers' orders and stiffing them money. Just went on forever.
Stupid.
Mean Gene calls out Ric Flair for a promo.
Excuse me, another promo?
More talking.
Oh, another segment? Okay.
And this time, though the NWO is not on screen, they are still the topic being discussed. So Flair says on Thunder they could have ended Horace's life.
They could have taken his life.
Yeah.
But he says, we sent him back in one piece.
That's right.
Okay, now I didn't see Thunder, but like I saw Horace on the show, not selling a goddamn thing,
No,
and
nowhere
clearly
for it.
100%. I can only imagine the beating they gave him on that show.
Moved on to Bret Hart and said at Super Brawl he would defend the world title,
Yes.
and which Gene quickly corrected to the U.S. title, against somebody WCW picked. And tonight he'd be wrestling Booker T.
A match already announced earlier.
Yes. Flair said there would be a World Tag Team Tournament match in the show, and to ensure the NWO did not interfere, there would be a human wall of wrestlers around the ring.
Yeah. Now, he didn't mention who was in the match. That was unimportant. Only the fact that we're going to have a match, and there will be a human wall around the ring.
Yeah. Really, the only thing he offered was, will the NWO come out to try and break this up?
Yeah.
And finally, in the main event, he told Hogan, go find two partners to face me, Chris Benoit, and Steve McMichael in a trios match.
It was a great promo.
That was a Ric Flair promo. Scott Dickinson is the suspended ref who was suspended for screwing
I
Saturn.
could not believe my eyes. It's still going.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the front row.
He was incognito. He was
He
in
was?
disguise. He was wearing a hat.
So he was
trying
not wearing a ref shirt, so he was incognito.
Absolutely.
There was
It's
a
not like he was wearing
camera
a ski mask.
It's Scott Dickinson.
He's
What-
right there in the front row with a camera right on his face.
much closer than these cameras are.
Yeah.
My point is that he didn't have to put a hat on to be unrecognizable. Nobody
Oh,
recognized
I
him.
recognized him immediately. Immediately.
Clips of Scott Hall tasing Bam Bam at Sold Out. And then Scott Hall and Disco came out with a ladder. And Scott Hall accepted the challenge, and this took like 10 minutes.
He says, I accept your challenge. It will not be against Disco Inferno. I don't know why he threw that in.
He was drunk.
It will be against the king of the ladder matches, the man who is more handsome than 10 movie stars, Scott Hall. And women cheered, and he was so happy. The man who is more handsome than 10 movie stars.
Fooled him.
He got him.
So we had Scott Hall versus Bam Bam Bigelow in a ladder match.
Okay. This was not Triple H versus, or I'm sorry, Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon.
No.
But it was not bad.
No.
Do you know what this
fine.
was? It was Razor Ramon stealing spots from Shawn Michaels.
Sure.
It was funny.
It was a 1998-1999 ladder match where it was not all about stunts.
No.
It was about, let's have a wrestling match, and there will be a ladder involved. It was good.
It was a good match. And they had plenty of time.
Except, and this is not their fault,
No.
Bigelow sets a ladder up in the corner. He's going to throw Scott Hall into the ladder. He throws him across, there's a reversal or whatever, and Bigelow runs right into the middle. And Mike Tenay says, Bigelow ran right into the steel.
Oh, jeez.
Fucking Larry fucking motherfucking Zbyszko
Yes.
says,
Let me-
aluminum.
Not steel, which is more powerful than
So
aluminum.
pissed.
He brought the
Craig,
danger
Craig,
down.
Craig, please. You don't even need to say anything. Tenay says he threw him right into the steel, and Larry says aluminum.
It's not that.
Thank
bad.
you for the silence that I was needing after I made that statement.
In
right
other
there.
words, it's not that bad.
And then they go back to Tony, who has to say, still very hard.
Well, he's not wrong.
I like when they're hitting each other with a ladder. These big 300-pound dudes are slamming each other with it. And
Can wait a second, Vinny. Can Larry put anything over?
Well,
this was
allow
not
me.
even luchadors.
I'm going to add something to your argument here.
These were giant fucking men
Yeah.
running into a ladder, and all he can think about is making sure you know it ain't a steel ladder. It's aluminum.
Well, to that point,
They're
Brian,
not that tough.
the ladder is getting broken and banged up, and Shivani and Tenay start to wonder, will these very large people be able to climb it? They say, we can't have this ladder getting damaged. And Larry says, oh, they're only $100.
Why is he employed? I was so
To piss
fucking
off
furious
you.
here. Now, granted, Michael Cole's way dumber on the Raw shows we'll get to, but this was really fucking dumb. And I might add, you know who's not doing commentary still in 2018? Larry Zbyszko. But
true.
Cole is.
That's true.
So who's the real idiot here?
Us for watching. So, what I thought got you so angry is that they're doing this ladder match.
I'm only angry for one reason.
Bam Bam gets the taser. Disco Inferno, who had been injected, runs back out, gives Scott Hall
He'd
a
been
taser.
injected?
Did I say that?
Ejected.
Ejected. Thank
Yes.
you.
Either way.
I don't know what he did backstage. He returns. He gives Scott Hall a taser. There's
Excuse me. Wait a second.
Yeah.
He came back with a second taser?
That's right.
And he gave it to Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Would
So
have done that earlier.
you would think at any point. So Bigelow and Hall are facing off with these tasers like they're cowboys at high noon. And Goldberg runs out to kill them. He spears them both, and suddenly it's a disqualification.
That, I swear to God, of all the things, that didn't bother me. You know what bothered me more than the fact that it was a DQ?
Larry Zbyszko.
Well, besides Larry. So they're both there with their tasers, and Goldberg comes out, and this place loses their shit.
Yep.
Truth.
Stone Cold Steve Austin may as well have come out. Goldberg comes out. He clotheslines both men. He has a taser in each hand. He starts zapping both guys. The place is fucking going wild. And immediately Norton cuts him off. They couldn't even let Goldberg run wild for like 15 seconds or 30 seconds. The fans, all they wanted to do was see Goldberg kill these two guys. The moment he laid his hands on him, Norton has to come in to get the heat.
Well, in their defense, I will say Goldberg was coming out later.
And they did pay it off later. But
Yeah, they
still,
had
I
set up
couldn't
a
even
match for
believe it.
later.
In a notorious, infamous moment, Mean Gene interviews Bret Hart backstage. Bret doesn't know why Rick's holding a grudge against him. Had a grudge since he came into the company. Says he can make me wrestle Booker T tonight, but Booker T will not get a title shot because he's a loser. He's going to break him into pieces. And he says, this guy does not deserve a title shot. But as a U.S. champion, I've been watching the competition. And do you know who does deserve a title shot? El Dandy? And Mean Gene starts to question and protest, and Brett looks at Gene with a scowl and just asks, "Who are you to doubt El Dandy?"
You know, there's a very, very famous quote. Who are you to doubt El Dandy? People have been talking about this quote now for 19 years. Brett's delivery was unbelievable. But you know what people aren't talking about that they should?
Yes.
When Gene questioned El Dandy, Brett says, "Who are you to doubt El Dandy?" Gene is still questioning him, so Brett says, "Well, how about hypnosis instead?"
Right.
Gene has to explain it's psychosis.
That was better than El Dandy.
It was!
Absolutely.
Why was everybody talking about El Dandy when you had the hypnosis line in there?
And why have we never had a wrestler with a hypnosis gimmick?
Who was the
We
guy?
have.
Ophidian,
Who?
the guy from Chikara.
There's Chikara, but there was also, who was that? They had a guy in WWF for a while that was going to do that. Spellbinder or whatever.
Yeah, the magician who made like one appearance.
Yeah.
You talking about the Cobra in Chikara?
He's one
Yeah,
too.
he hypnotized the entire locker room.
I'm talking a guy with a watch. You know?
He did this with his hands. He didn't
No,
even
no,
watch.
no. He needs a watch.
Get out of here, you two.
A pocket watch.
Quit ruining my show.
Why should we stop now?
He also mentions that Malenko has a bad ankle, and he scoffs the idea that he has a bad ankle because Malenko has never had a groin pull the likes of this, the likes of which nobody has ever seen, he says.
So the last minute of this, they're just talking over each other, and Gene's trying to be the voice of reason, and Brett's not having any of it. And this may be a coincidence, but I was struck how much this was Nitro's version of Hockey Night in Canada, and Mean Gene was Ron McClane, and Bret Hart was playing Don Cherry without the funny jacket. It was the exact same scene. Everyone, Brian, knows what I'm talking about except you.
We're American. We don't like hockey.
So it's time for the human wall of wrestlers, or whatever the hell Flair said, surrounding the ring for the next match. Every bottom of the roster geek you can think of just comes out and stands there.
So they all come out. Tony says, "You know, it looks like a lumberjack match."
It did.
It.
It's like, maybe because it fucking is a lumberjack match. No matter what Flair called it, because he forgot. It's Finlay and Dave Taylor versus Meng and the Barbarian.
Tag team mean guy match.
It was fun.
This was two technical grapplers versus two bears. And everything that I talked about last week, we saw again here. Meng and Barbarian every now and then would give them something, and then they just do whatever the hell they wanted.
Yep.
There was no heat. There was no story.
No.
It was just like, we'll beat the shit out of you. You beat the shit out of us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll beat the shit out of you. You beat the shit out of us. And then we're going to do the old backdrop into a powerbomb spot using nothing but pure power, no technique whatsoever.
Zero.
And win the match. It's fucking great.
It was awesome.
Yes.
This match ruled. And yes, the Faces of Fear did win. And no, the Lumberjacks never did anything. If you were waiting to see the NWO come out, you never got it.
They never
No.
even pushed other wrestlers back into the ring. They,
I think they did once.
There was one, and it was specific because Hugh Morris is still technically in the same stable
okay.
as the Faces of Fear. So one time he threw Finley back in.
I didn't like that. I mean, as much as I love this, it went a little long because shortly before the finish, the Lumberjacks are just chatting with the fans. They've gotten bored. They're done.
Well, they had nothing to do and no purpose in the end.
No.
They probably all just wanted to shower and get changed and go and leave. They had to come out here in their gear for no reason for 5 minutes and go back. More clips from Thunder. So you will recall the NWO is pissed off that WCW is restarting a tag team division and trying to have a tournament. So Vince's response to this is to put together an NWO team and put them in the tournament. It's Horace and Brian Adams
Oh, my God.
versus Chavo Guerrero
Jesus
Jr. and
Christ.
Kidman. So to review, the first match of this tournament ended in a draw when the NWO killed everyone. The second match is this match we're watching here on Thunder, and the third match was the Lumberjack match we just saw.
You know, wrestling's very different nowadays. I watched the clips of this match. It's like Kidman's in there, and Brian Adams, and Horace Hogan. Who was the other guy?
Chavo.
Oh, God, Chavo, Jesus Christ. This was like every tag match that Buddy and I did with two giant lugs. Just you, Vinny. You and who else?
Rugged Rod or
Rugged Rod.
Big
That's
Sid.
exactly what this was. Like, Buddy's determined to do some spots. I just want to idiot-proof it. And he's got something wacky. Like, Kidman tries a fucking Hurricane Rana on Brian Adams. Who in the fuck came up with that idea? And why'd you do it? It's all fucked up. Kidman lands on his head. Bryan Adams bumps an hour too late. Can't even do a forward roll. I'm just like, look at you guys. Look at you out here doing this match. Someone booked this.
Yeah.
And then you guys did it.
Vince booked it.
Jesus. So bad.
So eventually, Adams pinned Kidman after Vince interfered with the slapjack. We had more from Thunder. It was Saturn in a dress wrestling Al Green. That's all I wrote. Did anything else happen?
Al Green's getting some work.
He is. Norman Smiley versus Saturn.
You know,
Yes.
every so often when you're watching something and your family wanders into the room and you're embarrassed about what's on the TV, this is only overshadowed by being short on time and watching some wrestling at your lunch table at work, and one of your coworkers comes up behind you and, is that guy wearing a dress?
Craig, I don't know about your household, but I'd have Whitney walk in on this match 1,000 times before I'd have her walk in on Val Venus getting in the shower with Ryan Shamrock.
See, that would be okay at my
I
shop.
fast forwarded through that because I knew Tony was coming in.
Yeah.
This was just a guy in a dress having a good match.
Yeah, it was a
Kind
good
of.
match.
So they did.
Saturn's having way better matches in a dress than he was in his gear. So
Jesus.
I'm fine with him wrestling in a dress forever.
They're doing something with him.
Yeah.
him in a dress.
No, the matches are better.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He's motivated.
That's too. Yeah, I don't know why.
Because he's in a dress.
I mean,
Before the match began, after the
found his
entrances.
muse.
Yes. It's
Whatever,
himself, apparently.
dude.
They cut backstage where security is outside the Nitro Girls locker room to make sure Scott Steiner doesn't get in. One of these dudes has the sweetest mullet of the year. And by year,
yeah.
I remind you, 1999. Mullets were not cool anymore.
Nope.
So Norman and Saturn had this fun match. The big wiggle dance is very over to the point where Norman can tease it and the fans will pop and the announcers will pop, but he doesn't deliver and they're left waiting for more.
more wiggle.
More wiggle. So eventually he does the dance. This only serves to infuriate Saturn, who makes this big comeback.
No.
I'm sorry, I'm getting
Vinny,
ahead.
please.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
He bends Saturn over in the ropes.
That happened next, yeah.
Hikes his dress up.
Yes.
And starts to do the big wiggle right behind him.
He did.
This does, in fact, infuriate Saturn.
Yes. I glossed over that. My bad. So, it infuriated him so badly, he beat him up for 2 minutes, hit the DVD, and won.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing but weird to see matches where there's not 87 near falls and 200 cutoffs.
No.
A guy made his comeback, he hit his move, he got a pin.
And the fans were so into Saturn in a dress.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how long he wears the dress, I forget, but I hope it's years. This is way better. I hope it's not just 30 days. He needs to do the promo after 30 days and just go, my career's turned around. I'm not taking this off.
I'm selling Saturn dresses now. Probably could have.
It's funny, too. They had to cut to a wide shot because he had been busted open, like, probably in a match a couple days ago. And
Yes, he had a
he had a
bandage
bandage on his head, and it came off, and he's bleeding all over the place in a dress.
Well,
Oh, my God. Gene interviews fucking
This.
Scott Dickinson.
like this only went like 30 or 40 seconds, but it was so
Oh,
bad.
my God. No, it didn't. It
Felt
was way
longer.
longer than that. Here's the deal, everybody. How many referees do you think there were in WCW?
A dozen.
They chose the one guy who cannot string a sentence together. Really? They didn't have one referee that could talk that they could have done this storyline with. Charles Robinson? Fucking Nick Patrick again? Scott Dickinson's out here bumbling his way through. I don't even know what he was talking about. He's mad that he got suspended. He's upset at J.J. Dillon, and he says it's bogus. That's all he had to say. He goes on, mumbling through this and that.
Has there ever been a good angle with a referee? Like Danny Davis, maybe the best one.
Well, the Andre the Giant and the Twins.
Patrick had his moments.
The Hebners.
Andre and the Hebners, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the answer is yes. On rare occasions, there have been good ones.
Sure.
Okay.
Sean in his shorts. No?
Bret Hart versus Booker T.
This was a good match.
Well, sure.
This is the best part of this match. Bret works over his leg. Bret goes for the figure 4 leg lock. Booker T is selling and selling. And he raises his hand and he goes to turn it over. And right in the middle of the reversal,
Yep.
fans will be right back. They fucking go to commercial.
Well,
I'm gobsmacked. So then, what apparently happened based on what I saw, Bret found out they went to the commercial in the middle of the reversal. So he proceeded to put it back on, leave it on during the commercial, and then when they came back, he had Booker reverse it again.
Smart guy.
And then he just went on with his match.
When you don't have the obvious cue of a guy doing a dive and Michael Cole saying Raw rolls on, sometimes you gotta go to break. You just gotta. So it was good. It didn't go too long. And eventually, it went too long, especially for the payoff, because the payoff was Brett tries to use his belt. Booker cuts him off. They go back and forth a bit. Booker's choking him with cables. The ref gets the cable out of the ring. This lets Brett hit a belt shot and get the win. That was too lame to wait 15 minutes for.
Yeah, but the problem, Vinny, is you're watching this through the eyes of a guy who's seen so many bullshit finishes, especially on the show, that this sucked. Like, if you break it down in Bret Hart's mind, he's a heel, and this was a great old-school heel finish.
Had to cheat to win. That's fine. It could have been done
And a logical way to do it.
It could have been in 8 minutes instead of 15.
Well, yeah.
That's all I'm saying. By the way, is Brett in the NWO right now? Does anyone
Fuck
know?
if I know. No one knows.
I don't think so.
Okay, he just faded out. And they didn't have to beat his ass. He just left. Scott Norton versus Goldberg.
This match was awesome.
Everything I want in a pro wrestling match.
It was fun.
Two big, scary monsters wailing each other and throwing each other through the air. That's all I want. So they're outside. They're fighting and punching and kicking and spitting and snarling. And they go for an Irish whip spot, and it gets hopelessly mangled. Everything goes wrong.
I don't know what went wrong, though.
Everything. I don't even know what they were trying.
I don't know where they were aiming.
I don't either.
This is the strength of Goldberg.
Basically.
You never know what's going to happen. And what's not going to happen.
I'm going to throw him into the bleachers over there.
He may have been trying to throw him through the roof. He may have been trying to throw him straight up. Regardless, it gets fucked up. There's this instant where they freeze, and then they just start pounding on each other, and it gets better.
Yes.
I love this match. They get in the ring. Norton tries a powerbomb. Goldberg escapes, falls down, pops up, hits a spear of death, and the jackhammer for the win. I know Goldberg's not actually the best wrestler ever, but there's no one who has better sloppy matches.
But that's the whole key.
Yes.
Like anybody else, if you would have done, I go for a power bomb, you do the Kidman flip out and land on your feet, and they fall down, the crowd would have been all over them.
Yes.
Not Goldberg. Goldberg's not supposed to be pretty.
No.
He falls down all the time.
That is a good point.
He falls down, he jumps up, he spears the shit out of this guy, he jackhammers him, he pins him. There was not one fan who booed Goldberg for falling down.
Absolutely not.
They loved every single... This was one of the 5 longest matches in Goldberg's television career, I think.
This went like 5 minutes.
Longer.
Yeah.
They had a long, mean guy, ass-kicking match.
Think of beauty.
It was so great.
So the B teamers run out one by one to attack and get killed like it's a kung fu movie. And speaking of kung fu movies, who should hit the ring when it's all said and done but Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Herschel Walker, and Brett Hull? And Brian, as you noted,
Yes.
you've got a pro wrestler, a pro hockey player,
A pro wrestler who owns a kickboxing gym.
who fights in fighting gloves. You got a hockey player who's getting beat up 80 days a year for a decade. You got 2 movie stars whose whole career is built on kicking people. And the one guy who actually did an MMA fight was the football player.
Yeah. Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Goldberg, and Herschel Walker.
And
One
Brett
of
Hull.
them did MMA. And it was fucking Herschel Walker.
Yes.
All I know is this is where Sly Stallone got the
And
idea.
he's undefeated.
This is where Sly got the idea for the Expendables.
It might be. Actually. I guess 3 of them did the movie. Nitro girls come out to dance. Scott Steiner comes out to watch from the announce desk. He scares the announcers, but nothing comes of it.
Yeah, he was 50 feet away by law.
Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Steiner versus Ric Flair, Chris Benoit, and Steve McMichael.
What a match.
Well, there was a promo first where Scott claims Kimberly's been flirting with him, and since DDP can't satisfy his hooch, he's the man to get the job done.
His hooch.
At this point, they cut to some women in the crowd holding a sign reading, "We want Papa's pump."
What I did love about
Yeah.
Steiner's promo was he calls Kimberly a hooch and then still tries to fuck her.
Of course.
That's what you do.
No!
I mean, they're the ones that are easy.
Opting out of this one.
What in the fuck are you talking about? He insulted her
Yes.
and then tried to sleep with her, Craig.
Yes, I understand.
This doesn't work.
I understand.
Okay.
So we got this match. It was really...
Before that, it wasn't just Steiner doing a promo. Hogan does his promo. This is very important.
So much to say.
This is very important.
Well, it's good for this job.
Hogan cuts his promo on Flair. He says, I beat your child and Eric Bischoff kissed your wife. I am warning the rest of WCW, everyone is going to be hunted, and as God is my witness, Ric Flair, you are the first one who's going to be hunted and torn down by this pack. This was a great promo. Now, the reason this is important is this fucking company was in shambles, okay?
Clearly.
This is early 1999. It's a fucking disaster. The finger poke of doom, they beat Goldberg. Like, it's just...
This tag team tournament...
Off the fucking rails. But in February, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair have a match. Flair is so goddamn great on the show, and Hogan is such a great heel, that match that they do in February does a better pay-per-view buy rate than the St. Valentine's Day Massacre with Vince McMahon versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a cage. Are you fucking kidding me? That's how good Hogan and Flair were on this show. Despite all of this bullshit, they were great, and they built up a great feud here.
So the story of the match was they got the heat on Benoit forever. A wise choice.
Oh, man. Benoit chopping Hogan. Hogan beating the shit out of Benoit. He's suplexing him. He's giving back suplexes.
I'm watching this.
Working his ass off.
Early on, all I can think is this has to be the only time Benoit and Hogan ever had a match together. And I bet Hogan never got chopped. He did, once. He took one chop from Benoit. Nash took chops from Benoit on this as well. And then he beat him.
I love that at the very beginning of this match, Benoit goes right after Hogan.
Yes.
And he gets him in the corner and he gives him this giant chop. And Hogan's like, Jesus Christ. Pokes the guy in the eye. Benoit no-sells it.
Yes.
Starts stomping the shit out of him.
Yep.
And then Flair pulls Hogan out of the ring. Probably to save him.
Yes.
Like, dude, get out of there, buddy. And then once they got the heat, Hogan got his revenge.
Yeah. Great heat segment. Flair was so perfect because everyone in the world wanted to see him tag in. He wanted to tag in.
Like he wanted to tag in.
Oh, yeah.
He's all ready to wrestle.
couple of
He's on the
times-
apron for 15 minutes.
A couple of times, the referee physically had to restrain him from getting in the ring.
Yep.
As we've said many times, Chris Benoit was very good at his job. It was on display here. Eventually, Flair gets this hot... Hogan misses the leg drop, and then Benoit rolls over and tags in Flair. Everyone goes crazy. Breaks down to a six-way, and then here is Bischoff at ringside doing his job selling merchandise. He passes Nash a foam finger with a 2x4 inside, and Nash breaks the 2x4 over Flair for the DQ.
Gotta say something about Benoit. It's maybe a little uncomfortable, everybody, but I have to mention this because Filthy and I have been watching all of the Royal Rumbles, and we have been watching all of the Nitros.
Obviously.
So we've been watching all of the Benoit matches from the 90s, and then I think you watched one of the Royal Rumbles
We
with
watched
Benoit.
the Royal Rumble where he won.
Okay, so remember when we first started watching Nitro, and Benoit made his first appearance, and it was like, man, I have to watch Benoit matches again. And like for some reason, like we could do it without a problem. We could separate it, right?
Yeah.
I fucking watched those Royal Rumbles with Benoit in like 2005, 2006. It is exceedingly uncomfortable. Like, it's way more uncomfortable than watching him in the 90s. And like, it feels to me, and I guess as we keep watching, and we'll watch the Raws too, and eventually he goes to WWE, and then he's there for X number of years before the deal. It seems to me like, at this point, he was in his right mind. But when I watch these mid-2000 shows, like the Royal Rumble, this guy does not look like he's in his right mind. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's also it's a lot closer to the
It is, but it's
tragedy,
like,
you know?
God, I watched those Rumbles in 2005, 2006, 2007, and it's like, I can't watch this guy. But here he seems like, just like a wrestler.
The other part of it, I think, is at this point, he is a bit player. He's very good at what he's doing, but the story's not about him.
Kind of.
He's a side. He's a side. I don't say sideshow character, but he's a smaller character. And we'll see in WCW. He does get to a main event status. Maybe it'll be. I bet it'll be more uncomfortable then. We have to actually.
We'll see.
Deal with him.
We'll see.
Anyway, so it's a DQ. Bischoff pulls out clippers, goes up to Flair's hair. The entire locker room empties. Everyone runs out. So they've been around the whole show to this point. There's a huge battle royal. The NWO tries to flee, but Goldberg is waiting at the top of the ramp to kill them all. He goes through them one by one, and the show goes off the air. That was a very good show when all things were said and done.
Especially after the first 45 minutes when it was horrible.
That's true.
It was like a good... And I guess we got the show coming up where there's like the entire first hour no wrestling.
This felt like it.
Can you imagine? An hour!
Well, to tell you the truth, we're about to review an episode of Raw that had little, if any, good wrestling.
It didn't matter. It had wrestling. There was a better balance.
But the non-wrestling segments were awesome.
45 minutes with 45 segments, and one of them was a 3-minute match with Al Green.
But the point is,
totally different from Raw.
Those 45 segments are awful. Raw's non-wrestling segments are great.
Well, yeah, for the most part.
Well, that reminds me, Vinny, don't watch last night's Raw.
That wasn't that bad.
Raw 25?
He might like the nostalgia.
No, he's going to hate it.
I just watched I saw pictures of the Balor Club stuff. That's all I cared about. Brian, don't even start the music. There's not enough time to waste. The finishes on this show were clean pin. I told you not to start the music.
Don't kill my gimmick, Vinny.
Oh, it's your gimmick now.
Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Hell yeah.
He's took ownership.
It's popular, therefore it's his gimmick.
Sure.
Okay. Brian, can you cue my music, please?
It's been up for a while.
Finishes on this show were clean pin, double DQ in a ladder match, clean pin, pin after bell shot, and DQ due to 2x4 attack. That's it.
DQ via 2x4 attack.
Yeah.
Hey, at least it played to the storyline of the show.
6 matches in 3 hours.